Ahoy, hoy. Great to see you. Thank you so much. There's just an issue with the Facebook link here, so I'm just going to put this into that event, and I think I should be good. Hello, my name's Trevor. Thank you for coming on in. If you can tell me that the sound is all working, thumbs up, comment saying, hey, we can hear you. All good. Good to go. I trust that it's okay, but I do this by myself, so we'll see. Okay, let's get into this. So my name is Trevor. Thank you for coming here, and I'll tell you who I am and what the series is about. So what is this series here? And the sound is all good. That is always reassuring. So what is this series? Really quickly, we're going back to the moon, and that's coming up like super quick. Like I can't believe how quick it's actually coming up, and I'll talk about that. It's called Artemis II. Maybe you've heard about this, and this is basically a weekly live stream. Every Monday at this time, 8 p.m. Eastern, I do this. And I'm doing it every Monday until Artemis II launches, which I might not have to do many more of these, which I'll talk about. So each show, I do 2 topics, and they're 50 minutes long, and I do 50 minutes of Q&A at the end. So that's it. And I try to focus on Canada. So there's going to be lots of Americans. They're going to have their own live streams and people talking about this stuff. I want to do one just for Canada. Who am I? Really quickly, maybe you've already seen this before. I swear I'll go quick. My name's Trevor. I run a little company here in Montreal called Plateau Astro. And so I teach people how to use telescopes, how to use astronomy apps, all that sort of stuff. I do videos like this on my YouTube channel and Facebook and stuff. I also do presentations in schools. So if you want to learn how the phases of the moon work, man, I got a demo for that. How do we have seasons here on Earth? I got a demonstration for that too. I also have a mobile planetarium, and I'm actually doing a show tomorrow in the West Island. What is a mobile planetarium? It is a planetarium, and it is inflatable or mobile. And so inside, kids go inside, and I project the stars and the night sky. We travel through the solar systems. We see planets, big ones, small ones. We see the sky. It's a lot of fun. And finally, how do we know that I am legit? I used to work at the Canadian Space Agency for a year. And so I got to work with some of the astronauts there, including this guy who I've heard, rumor is he is going to the moon pretty quick. So that's that. Who am I? What the series is about? Let's get into this. And we're going to start with sort of an update over what's changed over the last week. It's getting really exciting now because stuff is actually moving. So last week I talked about the rollout to the launch pad. And so the rocket is there. It's at the launch pad. They're hooking things up and testing things. We got another really cool update. The 4 crew members, they are now in quarantine. And this is good news. This is not 2020 news. This is good news. So Friday night, the Canadian Space Agency put out this email saying quarantine to begin for Artemis II crew. And so this is necessary. This is necessary for the mission to happen. So they're in quarantine so they don't get sick and spread germs. So they are with their families, cloistered, ordering in food, I guess. I don't know the details of all that. But for 14 days, they are going to be in quarantine. So that was on Friday that they started that. So they're a few days in already. 14 days was exactly 2 weeks up to February 6th, which is the first launch opportunity. So it's all coming together. All the pieces are coming together here. And as of tonight, and in an hour or so, hour and a half, we're 10 days away from a possible launch. February 6th is the earliest time that they could launch. Here is, again, the calendar showing all the possible days that they could launch. So all the green squares there are the evenings that they could launch. So right now, where are the astronauts? Well, most of them, I believe, this is true, all of them live in Houston. And so they're not launching from Houston. So in a few days' time, I don't know exactly the specifics of this, they would be flown down to Florida. And I imagine the crew who's running the planes and stuff like that are all quarantined as well, I think. So they're in Houston and they're going to go down to Florida. And then hopefully the lead up to launch will go on. A thing I learned this week related to this is, and I knew this before, they have a backup crew. Okay, we know this. Their names, if I haven't talked about this before, are Jenny Gibbons and Andre Douglas. And they're the backup crew. And so they also have to be in quarantine. And they do this knowing that they might not actually fly on this mission, probably highly likely that they will not. And I made a post about this in several places, including LinkedIn. And you definitely know that these two are in quarantine because today, this afternoon, somehow, Andre Douglas, he loved my post. He reacted to the post. So they must be extremely bored if they are reading my posts on LinkedIn and reacting to them. I learned that this week, even though they're not probably going to fly to the moon, they actually help out the backup crew. That is, help out with the day of the flight. They are part of the Artemis II checkout crew or closeout crew. I forget, checkout or closeout. And so they're the people that they go up into the craft, into the capsule before the crew does, to make sure that everything is working. So this is the entire closeout crew. But if we zoom in, whoop, you can see there's Jenny and Andre right there. I do not know who the guy in the middle is, but I bet he has an important job. We'll find out his name. Okay, so that's an update. Everything is going pretty swimmingly there. Let's get into tonight's topics. And I got to warn you, I gave a presentation earlier today for some school kids. There's this great program called Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and they bring in scientists and academics, of which I am not, and they talk about what they do. And I was invited there and talked about Artemis, and we had 1,000 students all across Canada, the United States. And so I was working on my slides up until the last minute. And today I was working on my slides for this presentation up until the last minute. And so hopefully my slides are okay. This is the first time me running through them, but I think we'll do okay. Tonight's two topics. The first one is going to be about the weird elliptical orbit that the crew does in the capsule before they head out to the moon. I find this part so fascinating. I want to tell you all about it. And the second part is kind of about a lot of things, but it's mostly about communication, talking with Earth, losing contact, the speed of light, lasers. This is a show right here, all this stuff here. So I'm going to talk about that as the second topic. But let's start with the weird elliptical orbit. So if you look at a diagram of the entire flight for Artemis II, which you might have seen before, it looks something kind of like this. And this describes sort of all the big steps and where they're launching from, going around the Earth and going around the moon and such. And you can see it's not really the clearest of lines. See, there's like some excess stuff going on in here. I've modified this a little bit, so it's a little bit easier to read. And I want to focus on this part that is in red. Okay, so they're going to launch off from Florida, and they're going to go around the Earth. But then they're going to do this red part right here. Okay, and this red part is a highly elliptical orbit. Maybe I'll describe what that means in a second here. And this entire part is going to take about 24 hours before they head out to the moon. Now they're in space, they're in Earth orbit. Why aren't you just going straight to the moon? Why are you doing this other extra big orbit around the Earth? What is the point of this? And how far away is this elliptical orbit? Let's take a look. So this is not to scale right here, but I've made this to scale. So let's see. So hopefully this works and isn't completely tiny. You'll get my point in a second. So I made a scale model here of the Earth and the moon. So right here, right there, that's the Earth right there. And where would the moon be? Right beside it? Is it the same size? How big is it? The moon, look to your right of your screen, is this size and that far away. That is the actual distance between the Earth and the moon, their actual size. It's much bigger than you actually think. And the distance between the two of these is on average 384,400 kilometers, whatever, 384,000 kilometers, okay? So this elliptical orbit they're going to do, this extra circle that they're going to do around the Earth, what is it going to look like? How far away are they going to get from the Earth and then return to the Earth before heading to the moon? It's going to look something kind of like this. They're going to go around like this. They're going to go as far out as 60,000 kilometers, and then come back close to the Earth and be as close as 200 kilometers from the Earth. Now, this distance, 60,000 kilometers, is about 1/6 the distance to the moon. And they're going to do all of this within 24 hours. Now, that's pretty far. That's further than anybody's gone into deep space in 53 years since the Apollo missions. And 200 kilometers is actually really close to the Earth. For reference, the space station, ISS, orbits about 400 kilometers high. So this is like coming really close to the Earth. I'm going to demonstrate this in a second with a good visual. So all this is going to take about 24 hours, this first part. And this next slide is, I've been looking over this PDF over the last week. And basically, this is the schedule for the entire mission. This shows the first few days, but obviously it's bigger than this. So this is just one page. It goes into really, really close detail, like down to a couple of minutes here. It's great. I've been poring over this because I'm making a graph of the thing. But basically, during this first 24 hours, they're going out beyond the Earth. And so what are they doing? Why are they doing this elliptical orbit? What are they doing? The big thing with this elliptical orbit, instead of going straight out to the moon, is checking out the systems. What systems are they checking out? The first part is they're going to be checking out the toilet. They're very explicit about this all the time, that they're always going to check out and make sure the toilet is working. And the toilet here is sort of in the bottom of that. So I didn't label it here, but it's sort of in the little basement, if you will, of this. They're going to be checking this. If they can't get the toilet working, they're not going. The other thing they're going to be checking out is they're actually going to be exercising, working out. And what they're doing here is to sort of raise the carbon dioxide levels in there and the temperature levels, and making sure that the oxygen, the carbon dioxide is getting scrubbed out, and the temperature is all regulated. And so it's in Jeremy Hansen's job is to work out. Now, this little briefcase looking thing is actually like a flywheel. He's going to exercise with it here, and he's going to be doing this. And he's the tallest crew member, and he's going to be taking up a lot of space in the capsule. So he's going to work out, and they're going to check that system. If the carbon dioxide scrubbers don't work, they can't go to the moon. Can't do it. So they got to make sure they're going to do that, and working out, that's going to help them test that. The other cool thing they're going to do is a thing called an approach demo. Okay. So once they get up into or around Earth, their spacecraft is going to look something like this. They're on the left-hand side there in that capsule, and they have sort of a rocket behind them. When they are doing this highly elliptical orbit, they're going to separate some of the spacecraft. It's going to look something like this. So there's going to be two pieces, and the pilot, Victor Glover, he's going to test out the maneuvering system. Can they move around stuff quickly? Can they do a test docking with it? They're checking to make sure that the Orion capsule can actually move around correctly. Another reason why they're not doing this, going straight up to the moon, that is what if things aren't good? What if things aren't working? If the CO2 scrubber isn't working, if they can't pilot it correctly, if the toilet doesn't work, what are they going to do? It gives them a chance to come home. Gives them a chance to come home. So that is a very real possibility that after a day of the flight, this would be very unfortunate. If something doesn't work, they have to come back. And so this gives them the opportunity to do that. If they went out straight to the moon, they wouldn't be able to do that. They'd be stuck on there for 8 or 9 days. This gives them a chance to come back home safely. But if things are good, all the systems work, they come around, get close to the Earth, and they gain some speed, and they go and they do a burn out to the moon, and their mission really begins. So what will this look like? What will this look like for the astronauts? So here's a video I've made through some software that I use for my planetarium shows here. And it doesn't show the spacecraft, but this is what it would be like if you had your head out the window of the spacecraft. So here it is. They're around Earth orbit, and they start moving away from the Earth. And again, this is highly elliptical, meaning they get close to the Earth, and then they start moving away from it. So here they are. They're moving away from the Earth. Again, this is over the course of about 24 hours. And it'll be the first time since the Apollo missions, Apollo 17, that we'll be able to see the Earth all at once. Right now, on the International Space Station, the Earth is too close up and we can't see it all at once, but this will be the first time. So they're going to have some awesome images, awesome video. And right around this time, at the top of that orbit, then they're going to start falling back towards the Earth. And they're going to start gaining speed. Now, I have this sped up here, but they're going to be gaining a lot of speed. And this is going to be incredible for the astronauts. They come around the backside of the Earth, and they've gained a lot of speed. And then they hit their thrusters, and they go out towards the moon. This to me is one of the most fascinating parts of this whole mission. So I'm super excited to see what the imagery of this is going to be like. The reaction of the astronauts as they come close to the Earth. That to me is going to be super, super cool. So that is the weird elliptical orbit that they're going to be doing for this. Unusual. They didn't do this for Apollo, and I wonder if future missions will do it, because if they test out the spacecraft and it's all good, maybe they won't have to do it. So this could be a one-time only type of thing that we ever do. So really cool. Okay, just a reminder, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and I can answer them at the end of the Q&A. But now I'm going to go to the second topic, and we're right on time. Good, good, good. The second topic is all about communications. So I have a few different things I'm going to talk about for this. We're going to talk about the speed of light. We're going to talk about laser communication and loss of signal. There's going to be a period of time where we can't talk to the astronauts. I'm going to tell you all about that. So let's talk about the speed of light. Why would I bring this up? Are the astronauts moving at the speed of light? No. The speed of light is about 300,000 kilometers per second. Pretty quick. Now here's that scale model of the Earth and the moon. Again, there's the Earth on the left and the moon on the right. And that white line, 384,000 kilometers. Now, speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. So if you're really close to the Earth and you're talking with people on Earth, you're using radio waves, which move at the speed of light. So where that rocket is, if you're not too far away from the Earth, 3, 2, 1, it's going to move pretty quick. It's going to be nearly instantaneous. And the astronauts on the International Space Station, it is very quick. It's nearly instantaneous. What happens? What happens when your rocket, when you are going towards the moon and you finally arrive at the moon? The distance, again, is 384,000 kilometers, and the speed of light is 300,000 kilometers. How long does it take signals to reach there? So it takes 3, 2, 1, about this long. I timed that, so it is the actual time it takes. It takes 1.3 seconds for communications, whether you're talking or data through radio waves, 1.3 seconds from the Earth to the moon to go back and forth to each other. Now, let's say you are an astronaut, you're around the moon, okay, and you want to send a signal, but then you also have to get it there and have that signal come back. What does that look like? You can probably see where I'm going with this. You're at the moon and you send a message to Earth this way, takes 1.3 seconds. Then you have to wait for Earth, for Houston to talk to you. It takes 1.3 seconds again for them to talk to you. So in total, every time the astronauts, when they're around the moon, have to talk to NASA, they have to wait 2.6 seconds for every single communication that they do. So a send and receive signal, that is how long it's going to take. And that doesn't account for, let's say you're Houston and you have to think of a response. That might take a second or two as well. So there's going to be this delay every time they talk to Houston. I think there's nothing we can do about that. When we're at the moon, this is just the law of physics we're just going to run into. And this is something that happened to the Apollo astronauts, and it's going to happen to the Artemis astronauts. We can't get around it. But there is a thing that we are doing that is a little bit different from Apollo. So during Apollo, obviously we talked using radio waves, which move at the speed of light. But on this mission, on Artemis II, they're actually testing a new system. And what they're doing is using laser communication. So with lasers, lasers also move at the speed of light. There is that hard limit. Nothing can move faster than the speed of light. But the amount of data that can be sent is a lot more. So I'll show you the numbers and I'll put it into context. Okay, so here's Apollo and here's Artemis. And so I grew up with dial-up, and so these numbers might look a little bit similar. During the Apollo missions, the amount of data, bits and bytes, ones and zeros, that they could send back to Earth was about 51.2 kilobits per second. Okay, and that might not mean much to you, but I'll put this in context. For Artemis, we're using that laser communication system. If I've read correctly, it'll be about 260 megabits per second. How much faster is this? This is about 5,000 times faster. And probably I shouldn't use the word faster there. I should say 5,000 times more data per second. And so what this means is that they can send a lot more data for their spacecrafts, the data that's coming through there, angles, trajectories, and all the stuff that they need to make the ship run good. But it also means that we can send 4K video live from the moon back down to Earth. Now, I don't think they're actually doing this on this Artemis II mission, though I have maybe heard that they're going to do some video stuff. I'm not sure if we can do it live, but this does open the opportunity for that for future missions using laser communications. So this is really exciting to me. This is super exciting. That wouldn't it be cool if we can get high quality 4K video from the astronauts while they're in their capsule from when they're visiting the moon. So I'm going to keep my eye on this. So all this is due to that laser communications. This is a test of the system, so we shall see. The last part of this about communications I want to talk about is loss of signal. Loss of signal. That sounds kind of scary, okay? And if we look at the graph, the chart here of the orbit here, okay, I had the red stuff, that's the elliptical orbit going around Earth, but eventually you see if you follow that path, they're going to go around the far side of the moon. Now, again, Artemis II, we're not landing, we're just going around the far side of the moon and coming back. And so this is all in the plan that there's going to be a moment where they're going to be around the far side of the moon, and the moon is going to be between the Earth and the spacecraft. So you can see here, the Earth is slowly getting eclipsed by the moon. And when that happens, radio waves can't penetrate through the moon. They're out of contact. We can't talk with them. We don't have any satellites going around the moon to relay communication or anything like that. We're going to be out of contact with the astronauts. And this is planned. We know that this is going to happen, and we pretty much know the exact moment this is going to happen and when we should reacquire the signal. It'll happen about 45 minutes or so after we lose it. So for those 45 minutes, the 4 astronauts, they'll see the Earth, it'll get blocked by the moon, and then they'll just be by themselves. All four of them in this small spacecraft, far side of the moon. They can't talk with Earth. It's just going to be them by themselves. And they did a press conference talking about this a few months ago, and they sort of described what they're going to do. They're going to be taking photos of the moon, obviously, but they're going to take photos of themselves, sort of be a conduit for humanity. So I'm looking forward to this once they finally get the photos back to us. So they're going to be by themselves. And when Earth comes back into view, it's called AOS, or acquisition of signal. And during this moment, they're going to see the Earth come up and rise over the horizon, kind of like when we see a sunrise or a moonrise here from Earth. Similar, but they're going to see the Earth rise. And as I said before, they did a press conference a few months ago, back in September, and they sort of described this moment of them losing contact. And I thought I would just play it because I added some music to it. This is for a separate video that I did, but I'm just going to play this, and it's 1.5 minutes long, so 90 seconds. So prep yourself here. So Jeremy Hansen, he's going to speak first, and then Victor Glover, the pilot, he's going to talk. I think they just put a really great spin on it. So here it is.
When I think about the 4 of us flying around the far side of the moon, coming around, seeing that Earth rise, taking images and video and sending them back to you, the feeling that I have inside is hope. I just imagine when that is going to be like. And we know that Artemis II is not the solution for humanity on planet Earth, but it is a contribution in the positive column. We hope that just for a moment that people will pause and say, wow, it's extraordinary when you look back upon the Earth with over 8 billion people, and you see this concrete example of what humanity can do, this extraordinary thing when we set big goals and we work together to achieve them.
For the 45 minutes that we're closest to the lunar surface are also going to be out of contact. We are going to have an LOS in NASA terms, a loss of signal. I would love it if the entire world, those 8 billion people Jeremy mentioned, could come together and just, be hoping and praying for us to get that acquisition of signal and be back in touch with everybody. If we had the ability to be one thing for one moment, that would remind us when things get tough. I mean, it won't fix everything, like Jeremy said, but it would be a reminder, a data point that we all share, that we can do challenging and very big and very important things when we work together.
So I thought that was super cool on their part to frame it in that way. So hopefully you found that interesting too. To me, that's gonna be one of the most tense parts of the entire mission, is just losing contact with them. You've been in contact with them for 5 or 6 days at that point, and then to lose it, even though you know it's gonna happen, that's still like frightening to me. And I should check that chart again, see what time of day that's gonna happen, whether I'll be fast asleep and won't be listening for it, or if it'll be the middle of the day and I will be intensely listening for it. Yeah, stressful, but hopefully they know what they're doing. So that is the 2 topics that I wanted to talk about today: the weird elliptical orbit and the communications, the systems and stuff that is going to happen for Artemis II. So thank you so much. I'm going to just go through some ways you can support me, but if you have questions, you can go through the comments. I got a few. I got an email from Jack, who emailed me last week. Again, a repeat customer. Awesome. I like that. So I'm going to answer his questions. If you have a question, you can go to the chat and I'll try to answer it for you. A few ways you can support me. If you enjoyed this, you can buy me a coffee. If you just want to help support me one time, that's great. buymeacoffee.com/plateauastro. I also have a Patreon. If you enjoy giving people money on a monthly basis, patreon.com/plateau_astro. Probably the biggest thing is, if you live in Montreal or around the Montreal area, or Quebec City or Ottawa, hire me to come to your school to bring my mobile planetarium. This really helps. It's super fun for me, and kids love it. So again, plateauastro.com/planetarium. You can learn about all the different shows that I do. YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, smash that. And if you use social media, hey, here you go. And I have a newsletter too, where I announce when I'm going to be doing these and some other fun things all the time. The other thing is I have this page where I'm putting different resources and stuff there, things that I've made, and things that educators and parents might do. There's some activities, some links to some things you can cut out for kids. This is probably pretty small, like this, some coloring activities and stuff like that. So yeah, plateauastro.com/Artemis. And probably the final thing is I have a video. If you don't want to hear a guy just talk for 30 minutes, I have a succinct 8 or 9 minute video all about this mission from a Canadian angle. Last thing you do to support is tell people about the mission. I can really kind of feel the it's coming in the news a lot more. Finally, people are kind of getting the clue that this is happening, but still, I don't think it's enough. I went to a bar the other night and met some of my bar friends, and they still didn't know what Artemis II was. So go and tell people about this mission. All right, Q&A, and I see some questions in the chat. That's great. I'm going to start with Jack's question. He's age 7, and so this is some really great questions he's asking. What safety checks would have to fail for the launch to be postponed until the next launch window? How soon can we know if they will need to postpone until the next window? So right now, the spacecraft is on the launch pad, and so it's been there for about 9 days, if I'm doing my head right. January, 17th, yeah. And so since then, they've been like plugging hoses in, electrical cables. I forget if this already happened since my last live stream, but they have a safety system there where if the crew has to escape really quickly, they take basically like it's kind of a ride. They go into a basket and they go down really, really, really quickly. That's if things are really, really bad. They've installed that this week. But right now, they're checking out the vehicle, making sure all the things are good with it. What safety checks would have to fail for the launch to be postponed? There's a few different things. I don't think I'll go through them all, but the big one is what's called the Flight Termination System, or FTS. And basically, it is this thing at the very, very, very top here. So this is the Orion capsule, and you see this pointy thing right there. This thing helps if the astronauts, they are launching up like this, and a few minutes into flight, if something goes wrong, say something, I don't know, disastrous happens with one of these engines or something like that, this thing would pull this capsule away from here and take them to safety. Now, the flight termination system requires some I think I'm getting this right, batteries, and there's an expiration date on those. And they have to, I think, continually check that everything is good there. If they found that something wasn't good with that, that is something they would not screw around with. They would either try to change it on the launch pad, but if that didn't happen, they would take the entire vehicle back into the VAB, that big building that we saw last week, fix stuff there. And that means they would probably have to, they definitely have to wait till the next launch window for that. So a thing that they are doing, I believe February 2nd, which is a week from now or so, they're doing what's called the wet dress rehearsal. And I think I talked about this last week. It's all a blur now. I forget if I talked about it last week or not. During the wet dress rehearsals, where they're going to find a lot of these issues. Hopefully there's no issues, but this is where they would find them if that would happen. They're going to pump a bunch of fuel, hydrogen and oxygen in liquid form into the spacecraft. And this is where they're going to find leaks. Hopefully there's none, but they would find leaks and issues with putting in fuel there. If that doesn't go well, then they would postpone either for a few days, but it might have to wait until the next launch window. This was a big issue for Artemis I, but so far it kind of seems like everything's kind of going good so far. So fingers crossed. They're in quarantine, so let's not make them stay in another quarantine, because I guess they would have to do that next month. That would be so many quarantines in a row. Though I've done that before. Jack, hopefully you don't remember that. The other thing is weather. If they find that it's going to be too windy or lightning, or probably a lot of other reasons, then they would postpone the flight, and we would have a few days notice of that. But that's only until we get quite close to the launch date. This is a great question. I'm just going to take this off. This is from Angry Astro Panda, which is my fiance, Natalie. Is Artemis II going to affect other space missions? Wink, wink. Yes. First of all, let me thank Natalie for taking care of our baby, Marianne, while I was away for, 5 days. So hero of the family, hero of Artemis II, Natalie Willette. Natalie did a really great video yesterday. And so Natalie is an astrophysicist, and she is the outreach scientist for the James Webb Space Telescope, the big old telescope, which I have right here in 3D paper form. Okay, you've probably seen images like this. So she does outreach for this. One thing I'd never considered, and Natalie's video talked about this, and has to do with tonight's communication topics. So the way that we send and receive data from the James Webb Space Telescope is we have what's called the DSN, Deep Space Network. And basically there's 3 locations around Earth. And I have Earth right behind me. What am I doing? There's a big satellite dish in California, another in Australia, and another one in Spain. And these 3 dishes are sort of equally spaced around the Earth, so that if you have something in deep space, at least one or one of those satellite dishes would be able to talk to it. Pretty ingenious, actually. And so a lot of spacecraft use this. The Voyager spacecraft, the ones that are way, way out there, they use that. James Webb, obviously. And the Mars missions, I believe they also use the Deep Space Network. So a bunch. It's like, I think she was saying 30, 40, 50 missions actually talk to these three big dishes. The Artemis II mission will also be using the DSN, the Deep Space Network, and they're going to get priority because they're humans and they're not just very beautiful pieces of machinery, though expensive. So they're going to get sort of priority access, and so communications with other observatories like James Webb, and I'm sure other missions are going to be affected by that. So this mission, Artemis II, is actually going to affect other space missions. So, yeah. Thank you for that question. I have been watching the ISS pass over Montreal every evening this week when the skies were clear. Will we be able to see this vehicle pass overhead on any of orbits before TLI? This is a good question. So if you don't know, the International Space Station, the ISS, goes around Earth about every 90 minutes. And you can see it fly overhead. There's a great free app I use called ISS Detector. It'll tell you what time, which direction it's going to fly over. And if you've never seen it before, the ISS looks like a bright star moving across the sky. It takes about 5 or 6 minutes for it to move from one end of the sky to the other. The reason we can see the ISS is because it has these gigantic solar panels on it. The ISS is like the size of a football field. It's very, very, very big. And so just after sunset and just before dawn, you can see the ISS because the sun's light is hitting those solar panels and reflecting that light back down to Earth. Really cool. It's really cool. So the question is, would we be able to see this before it heads off to the moon, TLI? So the Artemis Orion spacecraft, it also has solar panels, but this is a relatively small craft. So I'm not sure how much light it would be able to reflect. It also depends on the position that it is going around Earth. And this, I don't know top of my head, but it has to go around a certain orbital path for you to be able to see it. I'm not sure if would be able to see it. The position of the light hitting it, again, I don't know if that's gonna be possible. And even if it is possible, you might only have 2 chances to do it. So it's going to be going around the Earth. It's going to do one orbit around the Earth, and then it's going to be doing that highly elliptical orbit. So during the elliptical orbit, I'm going to say you probably won't be able to see it. There might be a chance that while it's doing that one orbit, that we would potentially be able to see it. And as I'm talking to myself out loud, it occurs to me that as I said before, you can only see the ISS either just before sunset, just after sunset or just before dusk. You can't see it in the middle of the night. And the reason for that is because the spacecraft would be in Earth's shadow. And so the sun's light wouldn't be able to hit it. The time of day that this is going to launch, they're all going to be night launches for the East Coast. So if you're watching from Montreal, you're in the East Coast. And so it would be in Earth orbit at probably 2 or 3 in the morning. And so I think it would be in shadow at that time. Maybe people in the West Coast or other parts of the world, they might get a chance. Yeah, West Coast, they might have a chance. Maybe. But again, that depends on how big the solar panels are. And yeah, hopefully that gives you enough sort of breadcrumbs to go and maybe do some research and find. That's a really great question. This question from, look, he has the same last name as me. Oh, and my middle name is his first name. Oh, is this my dad? Oh, it is. Okay. Looking ahead, are there concerns about the heat shield? This is either an in-family joke because we watched Apollo 13 a bunch of times, or this is actually a legit question from my father. And this is actually a legit concern. So It's either one of the two. So Artemis 1, when it came back to Earth, so let's start. When you come back to Earth, in the capsule here, on the bottom is the heat shield. And this heat shield, it's going to get very, very hot as you're moving very, very fast and you're going through Earth's air, Earth's atmosphere. The bottom of it is meant to sort of protect you, sort of burn away intentionally there. And what they found with Artemis 1 is that it burned away a bit too much in some areas, more than they expected. And, they analyzed it. They actually delayed the mission for about a year and a half. They've analyzed it. They haven't changed the design of the heat shield for Artemis 2. It's going to be the same design. And I've seen articles talk about, what are we doing? Why haven't they changed it? And stuff like that. What they are going to change is the way that they're going to enter the atmosphere. So if I'm remembering this right, for Artemis 1, as now it's a demonstration. As they would come in like this, they would get through Earth's atmosphere and then sort of skip off the atmosphere a little bit and then come back down like that. And I think this was, if I remember right from the tour we did at Lockheed Martin, this was one of the core problems that occurred with the heat shield. And you sort of got this sort of popping of it. I think that's the best way to describe it, popping on sort of the heat shield. With Artemis 2, I believe what they're going to do is go sort of just directly in through the atmosphere and not do that sort of skip off and come back down. I think that's it. So there is, spaceflight isn't 100% safe all the time, but they've done the look and said, okay, we should be all good. And of course, Artemis 1, it successfully landed and it was good. So they're taking that into consideration and changing the way that they come in. Artemis 3, one of the Lockheed Martin guys took me aside and said, yeah, we're changing it for Artemis 3. I'm making it sound like it's a secret. That's not a secret. That's just the way it happened. Let's see here. So that's okay. All right. Let me just find. Hey, Trevor, that's not a question, but let's see. Catastrophic. All right, here we go. Catastrophic, unrealizable scenario. All life on Earth is wiped out during the mission. Earth has become uninhabitable. What happens with the Artemis 2 crew? So, I'll actually take this seriously for a second. Okay, so the way that they're going around the TLI, translunar injection, they're taking a free return trajectory. And I forget if I talked about this last week or the week before, but basically what that means is the way that they're angling themselves and hitting their engines. It means that when they hit their engines and go up to the moon, it means they don't have to touch their engines ever again. They go around the moon, moon's gravity takes over, and then they loop back around and the Earth's gravity takes over. So they don't need to do any major course corrections. So if they did nothing at all, and all life was gone, they would still land back on Earth. So hopefully I can take this perhaps joke question into a serious domain. Okay. So, hi, my name is Henry. I'm 11 years old. I'm from Miss Mullen's class. Yes, so earlier today I did the Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. And the question is, when will the ISS retire and why would it retire? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to make this my I think last question. I'll see if any comes up. When will the ISS retire? We don't have a hard date yet. Okay, so again, the ISS, this is where we send up our astronauts, where they live and work for months at a time, usually about 6 months to a year. We started building it in 1998, and it was fully completed in 2011. But basically, there's been people up on this station every day for over 25 years. It just did its 25th anniversary. Things wear out. Things get old, and they can't last forever. So we've had a good run with the space station. But eventually it has to come down. The date that is sort of floating, it's been kept pushed back. At one time it was 2020 and then 2024. The date right now is 2030. 2030. That's sort of what we're looking at. And so what would happen is we wouldn't just let it be around there forever and ever and ever. If we did nothing, and we took the astronauts off. Eventually, it would come back down to Earth at some point. Okay, there's actually just enough little air high above the Earth for it to slow it down, and then it would crash down, but we wouldn't know where it would crash. So what's going to happen is, and I think the ink is already dried on this, SpaceX is going to be building a deorbit vehicle. So they would launch a rocket with this deorbit vehicle. The deorbit vehicle would attach to the space station, and then it would hit the thrusters at just the right time to bring and slow down the space station, and then go through the Earth's atmosphere and burn up, probably in the, I'm going to guess, either Pacific Ocean or Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean is where we put a lot of stuff. It could be one of those places. So it's in a controlled sort of way of bringing it down. And so, why would we retire it? It's actually quite expensive to run. I forget how much it is per year, but say $1 billion US, maybe $2 billion per year. And some parts of it are just getting old and creaky. And that we know that, but it's had a good run. So that's it. Last question here. I'll take it. All right. I saw your journey in Florida not long ago. It looks like you had a great time. What was your best highlight of that day? Yeah, I think, so referring to me seeing the rollout of the vehicle, I think, oh man, that's tough. It's either seeing the astronauts. I that to me is always really cool. And when I was preparing the slides for the kids today, I saw the photo of the group photo that we had with them. And the thing that stuck out in my brain was there's only been 24 people that have ever been to the moon. And in a few, possibly weeks' time, it's going to be 28 people. 28 people. Out of all life, human life that has ever happened, to say about 100 billion human lives have ever lived. And I got to be in the presence of 4 of the 28 people that have been around the far side of the moon, or that will be around the far side of the moon. I think I sometimes I need to like sort of pinch myself and like, that's really cool. I just get to see them, and I've seen them multiple times. And when I saw them a few days ago, I didn't have that starstruck sort of feeling. It's still really cool. You get really giddy, but not that nervousness. I feel like a bit of almost like a comfort. I'm not friends with them or anything like that. Just like you sort of get this like comfort around being around them, but seeing the reaction of all the other guests that were there. They've never met them before, and that was really cool to see their reaction, because of course that's super cool. But also for me, having that post-event realization of, 100 billion people have ever lived, only 28 have gone around the moon, and I got to be in the presence of those people for a short amount of time. That is really, when I put it in that context, I think that is probably my highlight. So I think I got to close it up here. I promised that I would do this, but here I'll do these ones really quickly. So then these are the end. Okay, why not kick it out of orbit instead? It's too much. You would need too much power to do that, and it's just easier just to slow it down and then put it into the ocean. A basic question. Can you summarize why the why? Okay, let me do this. I have a basic question. Can you also summarize briefly the why of that mission? My students are asking why we need to go to the moon again. I'm looking for a good summarized answer to give them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is definitely the last one. Okay. Why are we going back? Why are we going back on here? So Artemis I, uncrewed, and we went around the moon, no people in there, just to test out the vehicle. Artemis II, we're not landing on the moon, sending people around to make sure the spacecraft works. Artemis III, though, that is where we are going to land people on the moon, on the south pole of the moon, basically the Antarctic of the moon. We have not returned to the moon in over 50 years because we wanted to learn how to live long-term in space. And so the way we did that was we did lots of missions with the space shuttle, but then eventually we built the space station, the ISS. And with the ISS, we've learned how to live long-term, 6 months, a year, sometimes even a little bit longer than a year. And the reason we want to do that is if we want to go further out into space, further than the moon, say to Mars, it's going to take us a long time to get there, about 8 months, 9 months to get out to Mars. You want to spend a little bit of time at Mars, say a couple of months, 3 months. That's a year right there. and then another, say, 8 months to get back to the Earth. So all told, you're looking at about a 2-year mission. Nobody's been in space for 2 years yet. Okay, so we still have a ways to go to learn how to live long-term in space, but we've made some good headway on that. On the moon, we haven't lived there very long. And live, I shouldn't even say that. We've only visited very short. The longest mission we ever did on the moon was 3 days. 3 days, not long. What we want to do with Artemis is we want to be able to learn to live on the moon long term. There's a few different reasons for that, but I'll give you one. Landing at the South Pole, the Antarctic of the moon, we know there are deposits of ice, it's frozen water there. And so with water, you can use that, clean it up, and turn it so you can drink it. That's much cheaper than bringing along big old jugs of water with you all the way there. And the other thing we want to do is you can turn that water into fuel. So water, again, is hydrogen and oxygen. And this part of the vehicle, of the SLS rocket, uses hydrogen and oxygen to mix together, and then this propulses it there. This is called ISRU, in situ resource utilization. Basically using the stuff where you've landed to use it there instead of bringing it all with you. Okay, and this is something we're going to have to do if we want to live, on Mars. So it's a really good test bed for that. All right. Hopefully that was, you asked for a succinct, short answer, but basically we want to learn how to live long-term in space in a place that just isn't the ISS, and the moon is a really good spot to do that. So hopefully that's good. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll just share my slides just one last time. Let's finish this up. Next week, which would be, I can't remember, is that the next Monday? I'll be doing another one here on YouTube. I'm going to make another Facebook event. Hopefully I can get the stream to work right for Facebook. Next week's topics, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'll announce that. Future topics, I got a whole bunch of other ones in here, so I'll figure something out. But if you have a suggestion, I would gladly take it. So thank you again, Plateau Astro. Merci. So I'll see you next Monday. Have a good night.